Welcome to the Poopy Epi about your level, where we made a whole episode about excrement. Thank you, Ari. I always dreamed of speaking publicly about this topic. Wait, what? This is actually happening? A poop episode? You want to do a poop episode?
Yes, I know some people are not as comfortable mucking around in this topic, but if you can relax and let go, you'll uncover some treasures, like...
When I'm joking around with people and they say, what do I do? Sometimes I call myself a glorified pooper scooper.
We are Swara, Ari, and me, Chloe, your host for this exploratory episode, and this is At Your Level.
Hi there, it's Swara the Great, and I have always been up for Ari and his mom's ideas, but poop is honestly not the most appetizing topic for this episode, or any episode. But I suppose it is my duty, but thank you, as co-host to help along the way.
Thanks, Swara. Now, I know that you don't like talking about poop, but everyone poops. I promise you. This episode is not your regular log entry. It'll get more and more enjoyable the longer you sit and tune in.
So, before Ari gives you the lowdown in his nerd out, let's start this episode from the other end. It's time for Bizarre ASMR.
You know, because Bizarre ASMR has never appeared in the beginning of an episode. But anyways, finding a Bizarre ASMR for this poop episode was a challenge, but I got one.
Remember, it is bizarre. You've been warned. What do you think that is? Any clue? Remember, the hint is always the episode's title.
No one's gonna guess this one. And the answer is... the infamous brown note.
What?
The brown note, and I'm reading this straight from Wikipedia, is a hypothetical infrasonic frequency capable of causing fecal incontinence by creating acoustic resonance in the human bowel.
Dun, dun, dun. Get it? It's a sound that supposedly makes you poop.
What is happening here?
I hate to burst your bubble there, Ari, but attempts to demonstrate the existence of a brown note using sound waves transmitted through the air have failed.
I just have to say, this is the most bizarre ASMR yet. I really enjoyed meeting our guests on this, my first interview. Thanks for letting me join you, Ari.
You rocked it. All right, let's begin.
Hi, can you please introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Julianne Ubigau. I call myself a wildlife biologist, but I also work with detection dogs, and I've been doing this for about 16 years now, working for the University of Washington's Center for Forensic and Environmental Sciences.
And my name's Ada. I'm the lab manager at the Center for Environmental Forensic Sciences. We mostly use DNA to figure out where poached ivory comes from. So if somebody has ivory tusks, we can use DNA to tell you which part of Africa the elephant came from. But we also process SCAT, which is another word for poop, of animals to find out all sorts of things about them. For example, once we were sent SCAT of an orphaned elephant named Nanya, and we were able to find which herd she came from. In Washington State, we also process SCAT, the detection dogs that the handlers and the dogs collect, or rather, the handlers collect, the dogs find to learn where predators live in an area and what they eat.
Thank you for that. So I have many poop-related questions for you guys, because you guys are the experts. You mentioned that you kind of find SCAT out in the wild, and do you just leave it there, or where do you take it? Where do you keep it?
This is a good first question because the process of like what we do with the SCAT is started by me and finished by Ada. So when I'm joking around with people and they say, what do I do? Sometimes I call myself a glorified pooper scooper because really that's my job. I do a lot of different things and figure out how to do research out in the middle of nowhere and train dogs. But at the end of the day, my job is to collect poop that Jasper, my detection dog, detects out there. And so first we need to train the dog to detect whatever it is that we're trying to find. So my job is to train the dog to differentiate or to find exactly what we're looking for and then trust that what he's found is what we're looking for. So once he finds it, then my job is to collect the data. And so we look at SCAT as data, it's information. And we've got a labeling system and I put the SCAT in the bag and I bring it back to Seattle, which is where Ada and the laboratory facility analyzes the data. Lots of different methods on how I pick up poop. We use sometimes gloves, right? Because we don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch it, not just because SCAT is gross,
but because you'll get your DNA and stuff on the poop. So.
Yes. I don't want to contaminate the SCAT. Isn't that a funny thing to think about? That I don't want to get the SCAT dirty with my DNA. So sometimes I use gloves. Sometimes I use the chopstick method, which is just finding 2 sticks in the forest and boop, boop. And then when we come back to the field house, because a lot of times we're way out in the woods, so we try to get it to a freezer as soon as possible. So we have this little portable freezer that we tote around with us. It can be operated off of a solar generator if we need to, because it's really important that we get the SCAT frozen as soon as possible, because freezing it kind of stops it from getting even grosser, and it preserves
Yes, we're all aware, Julia.
the DNA and hormones that might be in that SCAT. All of that needs to be kept as fresh as possible. And then Ada takes it from there.
Yeah, so then we put all the bags, we organize them, and we put them in freezers. In our lab, we actually have over 12 freezers full of SCAT from all different animals.
Are they like the ice cream freezers you see at like 7-Eleven or gas stations?
Ari, stop.
No,
Stop.
they're freezers that don't defrost. You have to manually defrost them because we don't want the temperature to go up and down. So they're regular freezers, kind of like what hunters would use in their garage to store their meat.
Big chest.
Yes,
Yeah.
the chest of SCATs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
The most interesting
So let me get this
freezers in the
straight.
world. We've got
Let me get this
freezers
straight.
full of SCAT from all over the world.
Let me get this straight. You take poop from the woods and put it in a freezer.
Yep.
Imagine one day you're reaching for your pizza rolls and you accidentally reach for the wrong thing. And then, yes, but that has put some very disturbing images in my mind.
Well,
Right.
it would never happen because you would never bring food into the lab. But if it did,
Okay,
we
that's good.
actually have ways of knowing because we can identify the poop. So, yeah.
Hopefully this is not by taste testers.
No,
Okay,
it's by
Good.
using DNA. So DNA is the genetic code which says what we are. Poop actually also contains not only the DNA of the animal that made it, but also of the organisms that it ate. So if your bear ate blackberries, you would actually pick up DNA of bear and of blackberries. If it ate a deer, you would have the bear and the deer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we did wolf research for many years in northeastern Washington, and we collected lots of wolf SCAT. So by the time that Ada's team was done analyzing the wolf SCAT that we collected in Washington, we were able to say, okay, now we know how many wolves were in that area. We were able to see what the wolves were eating. We were able to even see how many of the wolves out there were pregnant in the spring and going to reproduce and have pups. And so we got all of that different information from the DNA of the SCAT, and the hormones that were found in the SCAT. And that is just a beginning of like what information we can find, because sometimes we can even look for different hormones that tell us how stressed an animal is. And that's some of the work that we do with the whale SCAT. So we can find out if the whales out there are successfully reproducing, if they're stressed because they don't have enough food, or stressed because of boat activity. There's so much information we can find just by collecting this pile of poop that's left behind by the animal. And the animal doesn't even know we're out there looking for it, which is really cool, because we're not trapping the animal. We call it non-invasive wildlife research because we're getting a lot of information from the animal, but we're not bothering the animal.
You guys are kind of like the poop hackers of the woods.
Yeah.
So the last question, and I think it's the most interesting one of all. What's the weirdest poop you have ever seen?
Well, my weirdest poop that I've ever seen is we were swabbing one and there were bits of apple in it. And then I find a sticker that says what apple it was. So like, oh, this critter ate a golden delicious apple. I wonder where they stole it from. I'll bet it was from a campsite. Somebody's trash.
We found a cougar SCAT that had a cougar claw in it. And a cougar claw is huge. So the question lies, like, is this another cougar's claw?
Yeah.
Do
these cougars eat each other?
I'm trying to remember. We could have, I bet there was some DNA analyses done on the claw, maybe to say whether or not the cougar claw was from the same cougar that pooped it, or if it was from a different cougar. But man, oh man, can you imagine a giant claw coming through in and out? It looked like the most dangerous situation for a digestive system ever.
It's time to nerd out about poop, shall we? Honestly, there is so much to talk about. Like, did you know that the smell of books can make some people need to poop? It's called the Mariko Aoki phenomenon. So, just to be clear, this is a theory, not a fact. But according to Bustle, the cause of this phenomenon is either the smell of old books or the laxative effect from ink, the association of reading books and going to the loo, or the posture we have when we browse books. Now, I don't know what posture these people are sitting in, but this may seem a little bit to me maybe cockamamie? I don't know. But yeah, you can take this to so many directions. So for this nerd out, instead of giving you the rundown of the digestive tract, you're getting my top 10 poopy discoveries. Numero dos. Yep, I'm starting with number 2. Makes sense, but also the book thing was number 1. You've heard the saying, you are what we eat. Well, as the BBC reported, more than half your body is not human. Only 43% is. The rest aren't our cells, but instead, these tiny organisms. They're on our skin, our nostrils, our hair, but most of them are in our gut. You know, our very own individual poop factories. The bottom line, 57% of you is not you. My whole life is a lie. Which brings us to our gut, where fact number 3 lives. What if I told you that in your body was a mini planet with many life forms living in it? Well, I am, and I'm not lying. It's called your microbiome, and to anyone who has ever played Minecraft, I'm pretty sure you know what a biome is. And to any of you who don't, it's a habitat or an ecosystem, and your body is one. And micro just means small. In our guts, you know, where we bake our brownies, we each have our own planet of tiny colonists. These trillions of microbes are minuscule creatures like bacteria, fungi, parasites, and viruses. Some are good and some are bad. When we're healthy, they all live in harmony. But when something goes wrong in your body, which is their world, bad things happen. Like you get sick if a bad virus gets in you. So the 4th fact I got for you is related. Because at the end, poop is mostly bacteria, not old food. According to Vox, 50 to 80% of your poop, excluding water, is actually bacteria that had been living in your intestines and was then ejected as food passed through. Now moving away from our microplanet and even away from Earth, I'll have you know that Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon, left 4 bags of poop behind. Must have been a full moon. I'm funny. Please laugh. On to number 6, because there's no time to waste when we're talking about our waste. I'll have you know, this nerd out is a challenge. I'm trying really hard to keep things scientific, but some of these doctors, I tell you, they actually came up with a chart to measure your plop. It's a scale that goes from 1 to 7. It's called the Bristol Stool Chart. Look it up. You want your stool to be a good 4. And I quote, like a sausage or snake, smooth and soft. I regret nothing about saying that. Believe it or not, there's a lot doctors can tell from your stool. The 7th fact I'll share with you, I thought is pretty cool. Sewage can take you straight to the source, like scientists are testing wastewater. I mean, think about it. We're all flushing the microinhabitants down the toilet. Then, testing that water can detect all sorts of diseases, even COVID-19. Let's hear from our friend Leela from Newsy Pooloozi.
Okay, so what do you know about poop, and is it anything interesting? Okay.
That's a weird question.
I know, okay. I we did an episode on this on Newsy Pooloozi. So, like, the poo from the sewage in COVID times, like, earlier, it actually told people if, like, people had COVID, so the scientists could get it from the sewer, and...
What?
Yeah, and they could study it, and they could tell if the place had COVID. So that was pretty good, and it can also...
Had COVID.
Yeah, and it could probably also help like in tests and DNA tests, like stuff like later, like sometimes in the future, because like it's part of us. So if you can't get the person to do the test, it's easy if you just gather its poo.
Thanks, Leela. Alright, I don't mean to unloose your caboose with this discovery bit number 8, but as you know, we're not the only animals that do the do. The next fact's pretty funny. Are you ready for it? Sloths only defecate, which means poop, once a week, and they do a poo-poo dance. Now this one I thought was ridiculous. Why would they do that? And why on the ground? Which makes it easier for predators to eat them. I mean, they're so slow. Well, it is true. And this poo dance is even more ridiculous than it sounds. They dig a hole in the ground. They go numero dos in it. And that, my friends, is why pygmy sloths are endangered. Well, not really. It's more the destruction of habitat and stuff. But still, I told you, so much ground to cover. What about fertilizer? Did you know you could use your hamster, or gerbil, or guinea pig, poo to make fertilizer for your own garden? Yep, Scooper that pooper. We learned this from our neighbors and looked it up. These pets are usually fed a plant-based diet, unlike dogs or cats that usually eat some meat. We've come to the finish line. Brace yourselves for our final 10. I'm going to give you some final 10 ways of saying it, without really saying it. And I want extra credit for saying this without being gross. Number 10, do the royal squat. Number 9, make a deposit at the porcelain bank. Number 8, drop the kids off at the pool. Number 7, launch a torpedo. Number 6, see a man about a horse. Number 5, drop some potatoes in the crock pot. Number 4, unload some timber. Number 3, plant some corn. Number 2, download some software. And my personal favorite, number 1, barbarians at the gate.
Did you notice in the Nerd Out? Ari talked about the trillions of citizens in your microbiome, and that if some bad ones throw your little universe off balance, you can get sick.
In their Science of Poop episode, our podcast friends at Tumble explored, get this, poop transplants. Lindsay and Marshall, with scientist Mary Roach, and lucky us, they let us share this delightful, fine bit with you.
I spent some time with a doctor who has been studying poop transplants.
Poop transplant? That is horrifying. What is it? It's when you take the poop of a healthy person with lots of good bacteria in it and give it to a sick person who doesn't have enough good bacteria.
So how does a poop transplant work?
Mary watched this process herself in a research lab in Minnesota.
And I saw the guy come in, the guy who was donating his poop, and he has this brown paper bag and he hands it over. He goes, "Not my best work."
Oh man, so you basically poop in a bag.
Pooping for science.
It's important.
They put it under a fume hood so nobody has to smell anything. And that there's a blender in there, and it's just like a blender you would have in your kitchen. And they would blend it up and they would make it's kind of like a poop smoothie. And then they brought that back to put it in the patient who needed the different bugs in his guts.
Poop smoothie? Oh my god. Sounds like the grossest smoothie ever made in no contest. I'm afraid to ask how it gets to the sick patient.
Let's be clear, no one drinks a poop smoothie.
I mean, it looks like coffee with cream.
So what do they do with it?
In the hospital, the doctors used a tool that they use for a common colonoscopy. It's a long black hose with controls to release the poop materials into the patient. And before the procedure, the patient took antibiotics that wiped out his own bacterial community. So that allowed the donor's good bacteria to easily spread into their new home.
And 2 days later, he was feeling much better.
I mean, as long as it works.
That's right. This particular patient had been so sick he couldn't eat. A lot of people credit fecal transplants with curing their disease and saving their lives.
So poop is serious medicine.
Yeah.
Okay, that was poop-tacular. So they said the fecal transplants are done with a colonoscopy, which is a long, flexible tube about the width of a finger with a light and small video camera on the end that goes in the patient's end. Fun! This is actually a very common procedure. The doctor that performs it is a gastroenterologist. That was easy for me to say. And lucky us, we got a kind of a big deal gastroenterologist to answer a question for us. Dr. Jacqueline Wolf is a pioneer in the field of gastroenterology. She's a doctor at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center right here in Boston and is associate professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School. I asked her, what poopy advice would you give kids today? And I mean not bad poopy, but good for your poopy.
So I would say eat a healthy diet, not just sugar, that you need to get some fiber and protein. Exercise helps, and that will help get things moving. And you should go to the bathroom when you need to go to the bathroom. And drink plenty of water, because a lot of people forget to drink.
So we know what poop is, what different scientists can learn from it, but what about its journey? Do you know what organs in your body are involved in making it? We have a special treat for you. Chloe wrote us all a song about the digestive tract. End to end.
The mouth chews up the food, the tongue pushes it down, the teeth grinds it into bits until it's ready for the esophagus. But wait, don't forget about the pharynx, also known as your throat, carrying air, food, and fluid down from the nose. Just like a water slide, the food slides down till it's time for entrance into the stomach. Now it's time for digestion, so your food can fit through your small intestines. Mixing enzymes all day, every day. The stomach, it's got it made. Digesting and now absorption. The small intestines has it all. Absorbing nutrients, minerals, carbohydrates, and fats. Now into intestines number 2. The large intestine knows what it needs to do. Absorbing water along with everything else. Becoming liquid into stool without any help. The liver turning fat into energy. Absorbing nutrients from the smallest intestines. Introducing gallbladder and also bile. Bile really cleans you out of all the fat that might weigh you down. Unhealthy isn't what your body wants, so the digestive system will do whatever it takes. Also with fats, sugars, and starches are involved, thanks to the pancreas chiming in when gallbladder needed help. Don't worry, because the heavy stool isn't for anybody else but rectum. Rectum carries you for as long as you need until you finally need to go poop or pee. Finally, anus sends it all pushing out in the toilet where it belongs. Yeah!
It's time for a poop quiz. Brace yourselves. You'll be hearing the voices of Ari, me, Swara, and our guests.
You've met Julianne and Ada, but what you didn't know is that Ada's daughter, Hanna, was sitting next to her the whole time. She was very quiet during the interview, but she shined in the poop quiz. Let's say hello.
Hi, my name is Hanna, and I'm 6 years old.
Hi, Hannah, and hello to all of you listeners too. As always, you're welcome to play along.
Let's go on to my poop quiz. All right, so organize the following scat in order of size, and this is smallest to biggest. Puma scat, Pacific pocket Pacific pocket mice scat. That's hard to say. Wolf scat.
Ari, say that 10 times fast.
I will never. That is too. I was thinking that the entire time. But okay. Puma scat, Pacific pocket mice scat, wolf scat, and bobcat scat.
Who wants to go first? Ada?
So we'll think Pacific pocket knife scat, pocket mouse scat, bobcat scat. I already forgot. Puma scat, wolf scat.
Julianne, do you agree? Yeah, okay. Next question. Mix and match. Here are some visuals for you. Blackberries, veggie sausages, and raisinets. And here are 3 animals: geese, deer, and raccoons. Can you match them up?
Ari, I will never eat blackberries again.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I've seen a lot of blackberry smoothies out in the forest that were eaten by a bear.
Oh,
Thanks a lot for that image, Julianne.
It actually looks not too bad. It's amazing. Those bears, they just eat berries and their poop comes out looking like a berry smoothie. This is a hard match. Raisinets might be eaten by...
Oh, no, not eaten by...
matching what the scat looks like.
Yeah. Mix and match. Yeah.
Ooh, definitely raisinets and deer.
Okay, yeah.
That's a definite match.
Yeah.
Nobody likes raisins anyways.
Blackberries, veggie sausages, and raisinets. And the animals are geese, deer, and raccoons.
Veggie sausage. I don't know. What do you
Blackberries would go with raccoons?
I'm not going to reveal anything until you have...
Goose poop does kind of look like a sausage shape, a little log.
Okay, so you have raccoons as blackberries and deer as raisinets. Okay.
Yeah.
So veggie sausages and geese, that's... All right. So that's correct.
Never look at a raccoon scat the same way again.
I'm going to give both of you 10 seconds, and I want each of you to name as many animals that eat their own scat.
I don't know this answer. Do you know it, Adam?
3, 2, 1, go.
Dogs.
And monkeys.
Just murder that
friends
dogs.
told me that they saw a monkey put poop in their mouth.
Okay, we're going monkeys.
I know ape or like monkeys,
Hi, yeah,
apes,
I'm
or
on the phone with
gorillas.
Tal right now.
Oh,
This whole thing's off. I'm leaving. No, just kidding, just kidding.
So you had two.
Monkeys and dogs
How about coyotes?
and coyotes.
coyotes are very similar. That might, yeah.
How about guinea pigs?
Oh, yeah.
Not sure.
I think
Do
it
hamsters eat
needs to
their
have a
own?
guinea.
Do hamsters also eat their own poop? Because they're pretty similar to guinea pigs. Just
My friend's hamster
smaller.
ate its own child. So I'm pretty sure they ate poop. Like they're
Honestly, if that happened, it's highly likely they eat their own poop.
I have answers just because I cheated.
Don't forget my
Oh, you cheated? How could you? Unacceptable.
Wait.
No.
Rabbits. Rats, hamsters, naked mole rats, chinchillas, guinea pigs, dogs.
Oh, no, you're just reading off of a list.
You're reading off of Google.
I know. My only answer before was dogs. So this poop quiz is hard.
Hey, Ari.
Yes, hello, Father. Is it bad dad time?
I've been straining to come up with some good poop jokes for you.
Straining, huh?
Yeah, I didn't want to force it. I'm just hoping it will come out naturally.
Okay, I'll give you some time to, brew. How about we start with you, Max?
I just ate 4 cans of alphabet soup and had the largest vowel movement ever.
Next, we have Zoe. Lay it on me.
What's the grossest day of the week?
What?
Saturday.
My dad's got one. Can I hand him the mic?
Heck yeah, hit it.
All right, so what is brown, smells really awful, and sounds like a bell? Give up? It's dung. Haha, I got you with that one, didn't I? And if you think that joke stinks, well, thank you. That was the intention. Or rather, stank you. Okay, my job here is done. Bye.
And how about our esteemed guests, Hanna, Ada, and Julianne?
What does a clown's poop smell like?
What does it smell
Funny.
like?
What?
What does it smell like?
Funny.
It smells funny.
Ah.
Yeah, I stopped telling poop jokes years ago because everyone told me they stink.
Ah!
That's a dad joke. We've got enough of those in our podcast.
Okay, Dad. Last chance.
What do you never appreciate until it's gone?
Your joke?
Toilet paper.
No. I still maintain that it's your jokes. Oh, but wait. We got a double poop joke. Take it away, Anna.
Why didn't the toilet paper roll cross the road?
Did not?
He was stuck in a crack. Boom. Why did the toilet paper roll go down the hill? To get to the bottom. Boom.
That was so good, Anna. You got a new toot. It's the aftershock moment. Have you ever heard of the term poop friends? We learned about it from a podcast called Invisibilia. They explained it as a friend you like to talk about your poop with. Now, I don't know if you have one of those, but if you can please think of one friend that you know will really enjoy this episode, please share it with them.
We know this one might be a little harder to pass, but honestly, every episode you share helps our podcast grow.
We'd like to thank our amazing guests.
Yes, a big thank you to the University of Washington Center for Environmental Forensic Sciences, Julianne and Ada.
And thank you, Hanna, for joining us. It was really great to meet all of you. And for all you kids listening out there, Julianne Ubigau co-wrote a book with children's author Jennifer Keats Curtis. It's called Pooper Snooper, And it's about Julianne's four-legged coworker, Samson, and their hunt for Pacific pocket mouse poop. Did you know that the Pacific pocket mouse scat is smaller than an eyelash? I learned that in the book. Pretty crazy to think about, right?
One last thing. We want you in the next episode. Stay tuned till the very end. After the outro, we're going to tell you what the next episode is about and how you can be in it.
So thank you, Dr. Wolf. Thank you, Lindsay and Marshall of Tumble. Thank you, Leela of Newsy Pooloozi.
Thank you, Max, Zoe, Anna, and Hanna for participating by recording your poop jokes.
And thank you, our listeners. You know the drill. At Your Level is a production of Art and Light Society.
The next episode will be about movies. We'll all get to meet a new friend, Zoe. She's a listener that requested a movies episode and is joining us along with her mom, Tina, in making this episode.
Zoe's dad will be telling bad dad jokes, and her uncle Vince will be playing a game with us.
And, as we hope you know, we'd love to include you too. When you listen to At Your Level, does your imagination sweep you away? We invite you to take part in our process. And as promised, this is when we tell you how.
I'm so excited that my godfather Errol will be returning to our show for a brand new Trip and Errol segment. Errol knows everything about every movie. So here's the deal. We need your help to trip him. Record yourself asking a question about movies. It can be about old movies or new movies, drama, comedy, or action movies, where, when, and who of movies. Seriously though, please try your best to stump this movie buff with your questions. I'll be checking my email for your recordings. Thank you.